Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode on Urban Roost Homestead. And today I'm going to be sharing with you how to get your first plants planted into your garden, so stay tuned. Okay, so first thing you need to establish is, of course, what, when, where, all the things that I went over in the last episode in planting your garden. Once you decide what you're going to plant, then you have to figure out, where to get the seeds and that sort of thing, which I'm going to share some links in the details below, the description box below, with some ideas for seed companies that I prefer to get good quality seeds that produce a pretty good statistic of actual viable plants, not to mention organically or GMO free grown seeds. And so I'll include that in the description box below. But in the meantime, there are a couple different things that I want to show you about the seed packets so that you understand what you're purchasing, where you need to plant them, how deep you need to plant them, and that sort of thing. So let me turn this camera around and we're going to go over the details on the seed packet. Okay, so I have here two different seed packets. I picked these up at Lowe's today. I'm not touting any specific brand. I just happened to find these and I liked that they had the packaging details on the back to show you guys. And so these two are two that I'll actually plant in my garden here soon based on the time of year that they need to be planted. And with that in mind, I'm going to turn these over and I'm going to show you the back. So if you'll notice here on each of these packets, there's a map of the United States. I mentioned in the last episode about the zones. So this is how you can kind of see how the zones break down. And then you'll see by color when those seeds should be planted in the ground. So for example, I'm in zone 8B, which is along the southern coast. It's in the orange. And I would plant these particular seeds. I could actually do two planting seasons, one January to March and one to September and October. And that is because they prefer, these are sugar snap peas, and they are dwarf gray sugar snap peas, and they prefer colder temperatures. So I can actually get two growing seasons out of this where I live. One in the spring, early spring, and then one in the late fall going into winter. Now also on the seed packet, you'll see they need full to partial sun. They need lots of water. When you plant it, it needs to be 1 inch deep. And then they need to be 3 inches apart. And then it tells you that from the time of planting, it would take 55 days for you to see a full mature harvest plant with harvestable fruit. So full sun, lots of water, 1 inch depth, 3 inch spacing between the plants, and then a 55-day to harvest growth time. Now, on this other one here, this is the other one that I have that's with the cayenne peppers. This is more of a summer plant. So you'll notice the planting time for my zone is anywhere from March to July because they prefer the heat. So anytime between March and July. But then look at the difference here. Full sun, moderate water, so they don't require as much water as the peas. You're only going to plant them 1/4 inch deep versus 1 inch on the other packet. They need to be spaced 18 inches apart. And then you have 80 days from the time the seeds are planted to the time of a mature plant and a full harvest. All right, I also have these flower seeds. This is alyssum. I'm going to plant these next to my tomatoes next time I plant because they help keep some of the bugs away. But again, you have the map. Now this one looks a little bit different from the other packet. Every seed packet is going to have this information, but how it looks is going to be slightly different based on the branding and the company that's producing the seeds. So on this one, again, I'm in the orange, so I'm in zone 8B. And I'm going to plant these alyssum seeds anytime between March and August. And they will produce pretty flowers. If I want to do them early in the year, you would need to make sure you can see right there after the danger of frost. You don't want any frost, and you would plant them directly into the ground outside or your raised bed. Now, germination, for those who don't know what that term means, so when it says days to germ, That means germination. That's the time it takes for the seed to produce a sprout. And in this case, it's 5 to 14 days. You're going to plant the seed only 1/8 of an inch deep, and you're going to space them 6 to 8 inches apart. They're going to grow to 4 to 6 inches, and then they take 49 to 84 days to bloom. So that's the alyssum, which is slightly different than the vegetables. This one, it says on the front 49 days to bloom, but either way, it's going to be somewhere between 49 and 84 days to see the flowers bloom. All right, now this is one more packet of seeds that I have. This is a cucumber seed. Now look, so the information here, this does not have a map on it, which is why I wanted to show you. You need to know your zone, but sometimes it's not going to have that information on there. So you might have to research a little bit to find out. For example, because this is cucumbers, I could go on Google and I could search and say, okay, what zone am I and when do I plant cucumbers in that zone? And then you could look it up. And then here it tells you days to emerge. Again, that's germination, 5 to 10 days. You want to plant the seed depth at 1/2 inch. You're going to plant 2 seeds every 12 inches and then space rows 36 inches. And it gives you the information, days to maturity and harvest is 62 days. So every seed packet is slightly different from one another, but the basic information is on there that you need to know when to plant, where to plant, how deep to plant, and how far apart to plant. Now, if a seed packet calls for full sun, that tells you that your plant needs to be in at least 6 to 8 hours of sun a day, at least. If it's partial sun, you're talking 4 to 6 hours. If it's minimal sun or shade tolerant, then you want less than 4 hours a day of sun. Maybe even less than 2, depending on how hardy the plant is. And that is something that you can research. Again, you want to know what it is you're planting and how you're planting. The other thing is that some plants don't get planted with seeds. They get planted with bulbs. So for example, one bulb that you might plant are purple onions. Okay. And it also has the information on the back that you would need the same way as if you're planting a seed. And I'm going to turn this around so you can get a close-up of this. So as you can see, this packet of purple onion bulbs has the same information as you would see on a seed packet. Tells you that you need full sun, how tall the plants get, how far to space them apart, how deep to plant them. All of the information is here, including the map for your zone and planting times. So everything that you're going to plant from seed or from bulb, you're going to be able to find the information usually on the packet. If you can't, you can always Google it and look it up. Now, one little tip, when you open a seed packet, you're probably not going to plant all of the seeds that are in there unless you have like a massive garden and you're able to do multiple rows. Usually a packet of seeds has quite a bit of seeds in it. And so you're not going to plant all of them. So what do you do with your seeds? Because they can't get wet. So if you leave them in a paper packet, in all likelihood, they're going to get wet. They're going to get messed up. And you want to make sure that they are good and that they stay good for future use. And one of the things that I have found to do is I have these old prescription bottles that I store mine in. Or you could use Tic Tac containers. You want something that you can put your seeds in, especially like tiny ones like that you can label and have ready to use next time. Now, I know not everybody is going to want to start from seeds. That is the most cost efficient way to start. However, you may not have the space to start from seed. A lot of times, especially in colder climates, you need to start indoors with seeds and have 6 to 8 weeks before you bring them outside, and you need to harden them off, and there's a lot that goes into that. So you may be one of those people that says, I don't want to mess with seeds. I just want to plant the plants and let them grow. And if that's the case, I want to give you a tip. When you go to the store, and you can go to any nursery, you could go to department stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, Tractor Supply. A lot of them carry vegetables when they're in season, the plants, I mean, and different herbs. But at the same time, do your due diligence, because not every plant is created equal, and you want to plant things that you know, especially if it's something you're going to eat, you want to know what's in it. So I'm just going to take a moment to turn my camera around, and I'm going to show you, this is actually catnip. Okay, so this is a catnip plant that I have here. Catnip is great for keeping aphids off of your vegetables, so this is something that I'm planning to plant in my fall bed when I get it set up here real soon. So for right now, but what I want to show you, I'm going to sit this here on top of my seed packets here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 different plants in this pot. So this one pot has 4 different plants coming out. So when you go to purchase your plants at the store, you want to look for this. You want to get the most bang for your buck that you can. So, and that's just speaking from someone who's learned to be frugal. Not everyone is going to survive. You're going to have mishaps. You're going to have bugs that get on them. You're going to have things that happen. So if you can find one that has multiple plants in it, you're going to have a much better chance of having a good harvest or having a good planting come from this plant. And actually, it looks like there's 5. There's 2 right there. So there's 5 plants in this one pot. Okay, so that is some basic information about how to read seed packets, how to figure out what you're going to plant, and where you're going to plant them. The information that's on the seed packets and the bulb packets is very, very helpful. Take advantage of that. Use them. Go to the store, look at the seed packets, or go online. Whatever you're looking to plant, do your research to see, am I going to be able to plant this in this space? If it tells you that, like for example, if you're going to do pumpkins or squash, those require a lot of space because they vine out. You want to know that before you plant it. Some tomatoes are indeterminate and can grow all season long, and they can grow to like 8-9 feet tall. And you want to make sure that you're prepared for that when you plant them. The seed packets will tell you how tall they get, how much space you need to have between them. All of that information is on there. And now I hope that you have a better grasp of how to read it and how to understand it as you plan your first garden. Until next time, happy gardening. We'll see you later.